Yes, thank you so much for everyone who's here. I believe we can begin the meeting. Welcome to today's kickoff meeting with our enterprises. Today we are going to be focusing on the progress of all that we've been doing in phase 1 and phase 2. Thank you for being here. All right, as we await for the AfDB team to join us, maybe we can start with a round of introductions for those who are here. I'll be your moderator, Elizabeth Kamau, today, and thank you for being here. Today, we are going to be addressing the performance-based grant funding for the SMEs. And we have a panel of speakers who are going to be joining us, among who we're waiting for to join us and be part of this presentation. But these are the key needs. The agenda for today's meeting. We are going to start with a round of introductions. We go through the program overview together with the innovation call, and we are going to take you through where we are so far in the implementation that we have been doing in the past few months. We are also going to address the mentorship and coaching and the peer-to-peer networking. And we'll also give you a brief on the innovator impact and the next steps. This is the key agenda of today's meeting. And thank you so much for being here with us. Anita, has the bank joined us yet?
Not yet, but I'm reaching out to them.
All right. Let's give them a maximum of 3 to 5 more minutes so that we can begin, as they are also key members in the speakers, and we need to hear their bit on today's meeting. Emanuela, maybe you can translate to the French speakers the table of contents on what is going to be taking place in today's meeting, and also encourage them, if you have any questions, can they put them in the chat box. My team is going to be responding to each and every question. So as we continue, you can put those questions in the chat box.
Ok. Bonjour à tous. Pour tous les francophones, je vais faire la traduction. J'espère que vous m'entendez très bien. Donc, pour aujourd'hui, ce que nous avons à l'ordre du jour, c'est premièrement, bienvenue et introduction, donc, que nous sommes en train de faire en ce moment. Ensuite, nous aurons une vue d'ensemble du programme. Ensuite, nous ferons un innovation call, un appel à l'innovation. Donc, nous allons discuter de ce que, je suppose, de ce que ça veut dire, etc. On va aller en plus en détail dessus. Ensuite, nous allons passer sur les choses qui ont été faites jusqu'à présent, où est-ce que nous en sommes par rapport au programme. Ensuite, nous allons parler de l'implémentation du programme en question. Qu'est-ce qui se fait, je suppose. Ensuite, nous allons parler, nous aurons un aspect mentorship et coaching, donc qui va avoir lieu. Ensuite, il y aura un moment de networking, de prise de contact entre pairs. Ensuite, parler de l'impact, innovator impact, je suppose de l'impact de l'innovation ou de l'innovateur. Et parler aussi en dernier lieu des prochaines étapes qui vont être prises, des prochains steps qui vont être pris dans la suite de ce programme. Ils m'ont aussi fait savoir de vous dire que si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez les poser à l'intérieur du chat, à l'intérieur même de cette réunion, dans le chat, si vous posez vos questions et elles seront répondues au fur et à mesure que nous allons. Donc, voilà.
Thank you, Emanuela, for that. I have received feedback from the bank, and Edith is going to be joining us a little later, so we can begin. The key speakers for today's meeting are as follows. There's going to be Edith, who's going to communicate once she joins. We have Sarah Nderitu, who's a Senior Program Officer in Youth and Jobs and Entrepreneurship at GCA. We have our CEO, Mr. Prabhakar Vanam. We have Benson Jiro, who's the team leader, the technical and project coordinator. And then we have Mr. Evans Ombuki, who's a finance and admin manager, and myself. This is the key project implementation team, starting with the bank, with our representative, Ms. Edith Dera, who's the lead coordinator in the African Adaptation Acceleration Program, AAAP, and regional principal officer. We have Mr. Adeneye Fadekunayo, who's a consultant at AAAP. We have Ms. Sarah Nderitu, who's a senior program officer, Youth, Jobs and Entrepreneurship at GCA. And Mr. Prabhakar Vanam, the CEO of KCIC Consulting. Benson Jiro, who's a team lead. Elizabeth Okunda, who's the lead project communication officer. And we have Miss Fabienne Varela, who's the project support assistant at Concrete. We have Mr. Paul Kishuki, who's the private sector development manager at KCIC Consulting. Mr. Evans Ombuki, the finance manager. Myself once again, and Ms. Anita Njoki, who's the project support and client relations here at KCL. I'll give it back to Emanuela to introduce the team and the speakers, and then we can go to the next part.
OK, thank you. Donc, je reviens en français pour parler des principaux intervenants pour la réunion d'aujourd'hui. Donc, nous aurons Madame Adera Edith, qui est la lead coordonnatrice en Afrique pour le AAAP. Nous avons Serra Nderitu, qui est l'agent senior du programme Youth and Job Entrepreneurship. Nous avons Monsieur Prabhakar Vanam, désolé, qui est le CEO, l'exécutif de KCIC. Nous avons Monsieur Benson Jiro, qui est le leader de l'équipe technique du projet. Nous avons Monsieur Evans Ombuki, qui est responsable de la finance et de l'administration. Nous avons Madame Lisbeth Kamau, qui est responsable du développement et de la communication à KCIC. Donc, ça, c'est les principaux intervenants d'aujourd'hui. Nous avons ensuite les principaux membres du projet, de l'implémentation du projet, qui sont Madame Adera Edith, encore de AAAP. Nous avons Monsieur Adeniyi Fadekunayo, qui est le consultant de AAAP. Nous avons Madame Sarah Nderitu, qui est toujours là, qui est la responsable senior du programme. au niveau du Global Center Adaptation. Nous avons encore Monsieur Prabhakar Vanam qui est de KCIC, qui est le CEO. Nous avons Monsieur Benson Dirou qui est le leader de l'équipe technique du projet. Et Madame Elisabeth Okunda, qui est aussi lead dans ce qui est communication pour le projet. Donc, toujours dans l'équipe d'implémentation du projet, nous avons Fabienne Varela Silva Andrade, qui est de Concret, qui assiste dans le projet. Nous avons Monsieur Paul Gichouki, qui est un manager en développement pour KCIC. Nous avons Monsieur Evans Ombuki, qui est responsable financier, Madame Lisbeth Kamau, responsable de développement communication, et nous avons Madame Annika Njouki dans l'équipe qui s'occupe de tout ce qui est accompagnement du projet et des clients et des relations. Voilà, c'est tout.
Thank you for that, Emanuela. And these are the finalists for the cohort 3. We have Ms. Beth Koigi, who's the CEO and founder of Magic Water KE, who's going to be present with us. Ms. Eda Wanjiru, CEO and founder of Arenifu Tech. Ms. Lucy Wangari, the CEO and founder of Onion Dr. Kenya. Ms. Stephanie Miltul, CEO and founder, Eden Farms Nigeria. We have Ms. Deborah Zarubara, the founder and CEO Grencom ETS in DRC. We have Ms. Daniela Ushindi, the CEO and founder of Kemkem Agro in DRC, and Ms. Fatoumata Diaby, the CEO and founder of June Agro Innovators in Mali, and Ms. Miriam Chapi, the CEO and founder of Chapico in Malawi. Today we are going to have keynote speeches from the funders, and we are going to hear the expectations from the bank and GCA. And given that we've gotten an apology from AfDB that they'll be joining a bit later, we are going to start with keynote speech from GCA. So I'll take this moment to welcome Ms. Sarah Deritu to take us through this part. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Lisbeth. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. My name is Sarah Nderitu from the Global Center on Adaptation. But before I speak, I would want to acknowledge the presence of my boss, Ms. Sarah Midiabe, who's a global team lead for the Youth Jobs and Entrepreneurship team at the GCA. Ramide, would you want to say a few words before I begin? Okay, he says I go ahead. So thank you so much, Lisbeth. And this afternoon, I'm just going to be speaking about some of our program impact and outcome expectations from the funded project. So maybe because I haven't interacted with any of you since you began, maybe I could say congratulations once again for winning the YouthADAPT 2023. I'm sure you know that now you're part of the third cohort of the YouthADAPT, and we are very, very excited to see some of the impact and the outcomes you'll achieve. And of course, you'll be building on successes of the previous two cohorts, which I hope actually you've had a chance to interact with during some of the alumni meetings. Our interpreter, let me know how fast I should move and whether I should let you do the translation.
If your keynote is not very long, you can just say what you need to say, and then I will translate everything.
Great. Thank you, Manuela. So I was tasked with outlining just some of our expectations, some of the impacts and the outcomes that are expected from the funded project. And I will only mention a few of them just because KCIC has developed a very comprehensive monitoring and evaluation framework. And I'm sure some of the business mentors and trainers that you'll be working with, so I'm speaking to the entrepreneurs, will take you through some of the metrics that this program will be looking at. So as you know, one of our very big primary goal of the Africa Youth Adaptation Solutions Challenge, which is the YouthADAPT, is to boost sustainable job creation. And this is, of course, through the support of enterprises like you in climate adaptation and resilience across Africa. So, of course, looking at the very big goal, we will be expecting you to create sustainable jobs, both for youth and women. Looking at the GAP report, I would really want to commend you, because it looks like we are not starting from zero, because some of you have already started creating jobs. I think there is no one who is starting actually from zero jobs. So I would want to commend all our enterprises for that. And we will be looking at both direct and indirect jobs. So a lot of the jobs I've seen in the gap analysis report are the direct jobs that are within your enterprises, but we will be looking at also some of the indirect jobs that you'll be able to create along the value chain. The previous two cohorts have been able to create more than 9,000 jobs, and about 80% of them are held or it's women and youth who are holding these jobs. And we hope to see these numbers grow. So we hope that you'll be able to create a lot more jobs than what you currently have. I've seen some of the ambitions that you have. So job creation will be one of our big impact or outcome that we'll be expecting from our funded projects. The other big objective is, of course, this is an adaptation program. We'll be looking at building community adaptation and adaptation capacity and resilience. We know that resilience is long-term, but we'll be looking at how you're building community adaptation and resilience. And this is for the community that you're working with, and also the customers who are using your products. We haven't done a very good job at tracking this data from our current cohort, but we are starting to develop some of the tools to collect this data. But to go a step ahead of building adaptation at the community level and also of your customers, is also looking at how your enterprise is integrating climate adaptation and sustainability practices in your business operations to manage climate risks. And why is this? We've seen what is happening in East Africa. For example, how would your business survive a flood, that is currently being experienced in East Africa? We are seeing that supply chain disruptions is now a real threat. And I was just looking at some of the enterprises in the gap analysis, and I was just looking at, for example, Fatumata's report, June Agro Innovate, how her compost business would be able to survive when there are floods. I was home this weekend, and my mom's compost pit is full of water, and all the compost has been washed downstream. So we would be keen to really look at how your businesses are integrating, is able to build climate risk. Looking, for example, at Chapi, Kotek, and Arinifu, how are your customers being affected when there's too much rain? We know that poultry diseases is a real impact, and this will also impact the demand, from your customers. So those are just the two big ones, of course, climate adaptation and resilience, and also job creation. But also looking at the gap analysis, our colleagues at KCIC will be able to develop tailored capacity development program, a training program to also address some of your business needs. And I was just looking at some of the recurrent features is the need for technology upgrade, absence of business models and expansion strategies, lack of sales and marketing strategies, finance operations and human resource and standard operating procedures. And the training module that you'll be undertaking will be able to cover some of the gaps. And some of the outcomes we'll be looking at, for example, after you've undergone the training, will be increase in profit margins and revenue. The first cohort was able to record 123% increase in revenue, increase in production capacity, especially after your technology upgrade, because that is a real gap for this cohort. Increase in revenue, of course, I've mentioned that even for complex businesses, business models like Magic Water, expansion to new markets. We've seen an expansion of 20% into new markets in the first cohort. And we're also seeing a number of the the 2022 cohort are starting to expand to new markets. And interestingly is that they are supporting each other across cohorts. For example, one of our enterprises in Malawi called Mpata Engineering will be expanding to Zambia, and they are being supported by somebody from, cohort one. So we'll be looking at some, how you're expanding to new markets. And I hope you can be able to also leverage on the previous cohorts to be able to expand. Unlocking new financing will also be I've seen a hand up. Okay. Unlocking new financing will also be a big one that we'll be looking at. The past two cohorts have been able to attract a total of over $7 million combined. However, a lot of this is grant funding, and we hope that we can be able to double this. If I was very ambitious when I was looking at those numbers, I hope we can be able to reach 20 million by the time, as a combined of all our cohorts, by the time you're completing the acceleration process. We've seen, when I was looking at the gap analysis report, I've seen a very good, very impressive numbers. A number of you have been able to already secure external financing, and also a number of you are in discussion with potential mentors. I've also seen that there are a few of you who haven't started the whole fundraising process. Don't feel like you're left behind, because this is why you're part of this program, and this program will be able to prepare you to start unlocking additional financing for your business. As I've mentioned, a lot of the funding from the first two cohorts is grant funding, but we are trying to encourage a lot of the 2022 cohorts to start unlocking private sector financing. There is a big appetite for debt. So we hope that some of the financing that you will be looking at is also private sector funding. I've seen a number of you are in discussions with investors, and some of you are thinking of convertible debt, and also convertible debt notes, and also I've seen a number of you also mentioning debt in some of your fundraising efforts. So congratulations on that. So we look forward to seeing some of the private sector financing that you'll be able to unlock. I think those are just some of the few outcomes. I don't want to call them impact, but some of the few outcomes that we will be really tracking. But your business mentors will be able to provide more information once the acceleration starts. So we wish you the very best as you start the process. And looking at some of the business data is that we are at a very good place. We are not starting from zero. And of course, this program will be able to enable you to reach your goal. Please make very, very good use of the partners, KCL, GC, and AfDB. Especially on communications. I cannot leave before mentioning this. We are very big on publicizing what our YouthADAPT winners and enterprises are doing across all our platforms, and we've seen great results from the former two cohorts. They've been able to unlock global partnerships, extra funding, just by being featured on AfDB or GCA web pages. So please do not be shy. Do not shy about shouting about some of the achievements that you're making. And we will help you make as much noise as possible on your behalf, because there are always partners who are watching to see what is happening in this space, because adaptation is quite a nascent sector. So kindly make as much noise, and we'll help you in communication. So thank you so much, and back to Anita, back to Elizabeth, our moderator.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for that detailed keynote speech. Emanuela, I'm going to give this back to you to translate to our friend speakers. I hope we can summarize that in the shortest time possible. And don't forget to keep sending your questions in your chat for the rest of us. Thank you. Carry on, Emanuela.
Okay, thank you, Lisbeth. I'll try to be as short as possible. So, okay. Donc, pour les francophones, ce que Madame Serra expliquait, c'était d'abord qu'elle vous félicitait aux finalistes parce qu'elle n'a pas eu l'occasion de vous remercier, enfin de vous féliciter pour votre réussite d'avoir été sélectionné pour le programme en tant que finaliste. Et donc, elle sait que vous avez sûrement reçu et les métriques sont très partagées à votre niveau. Et donc, vous avez probablement une vue sur ce qui est attendu au niveau des chiffres de vous. Mais elle voulait vraiment revenir sur ce qui est attendu dans d'autres aspects au-delà des chiffres pour chaque candidat qui est finaliste. Donc, premièrement, elle a parlé du fait que votre projet ou entreprise doit être un projet qui va créer de l'emploi. Donc, des emplois qui sont qui sont sustainable, je ne sais plus c'est quoi le mot, mais des emplois qui favorisent l'emploi des jeunes et l'emploi des femmes. Donc, elle a dit qu'elle avait déjà vu que beaucoup de vos projets, de vos entreprises ont déjà généré du revenu et ça, c'est une très bonne chose. D'ailleurs, ils voient des chiffres et tout. La deuxième chose dont qu'elle a mentionné, c'était qu'il faut que votre projet ait une capacité d'adaptation dans votre communauté, non seulement, mais aussi chez vos clients. Donc, que ce soit l'adaptation au climat, la gestion des risques. Elle a mentionné par exemple Fatoumata et son projet et comment elle compte faire pour que son projet puisse résister par exemple au problème des inondations, qui est un sujet qui l'intéressait beaucoup et elle a l'intention de suivre et de voir la progression des choses. Elle a mentionné aussi le fait que cette accélération avec KCIC va vraiment vous aider à couvrir les manquements et augmenter vos capacités et à débuter aussi votre expansion au niveau du marché. Donc, c'est ça le but en fait de cette accélération. Elle a vraiment aussi insisté sur le fait que sur l'entraide. Donc, le fait que si vous avez besoin ou si vous ressentez le besoin de communiquer avec d'autres membres de votre cohorte ou même des anciennes cohortes pour pouvoir collaborer et travailler ensemble, c'est quelque chose qui s'encourage vivement. Ensuite, elle a parlé des capacités de financement, que c'est déjà bien parce que ça se passe déjà, mais ce serait encore bien que chaque bénéficiaire de la cohorte puisse avoir une certaine capacité à lever des fonds, trouver des mentors, ce qui est très bien, ce qu'elle encourage. Elle espère aussi que vous continuez à recevoir des financements et à lever des fonds, à recevoir surtout des financements privés. Pour finir, elle a juste souhaité que vous ayez le meilleur et que elle a dit que vous présentez déjà de très bons résultats, ça semble très prometteur et donc vous encouragez dans la même lancée. Elle a demandé à ce que vous n'hésitez pas à vous adresser aux partenaires, donc AAAP, KCIC, AfDB, etc., que vous puissiez partager avec eux vos soucis, vos inquiétudes pour qu'ils puissent vous aider à avancer parce que c'est ça l'objectif de cette prochaine étape, je suppose. Donc en gros, ouais, that's it.
We seem to have lost Emanuela, or am I the only one who cannot hear her?
No, she's done. She's
I'm
finished.
done.
All right, thank you so much, Emanuela, for that. Next, I'm going to invite my CEO, Mr. Vanam, to take us through the overview of the coaching and mentorship phase. The floor is yours, Vanam.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, and thank you so much, Emanuela, for that. First of all, congratulations to each one of you for being part of this fantastic cohort of opportunity. I think Sarah did mention she was very modest in her speech in which she mentioned as to what kind of networking opportunities you will get and all. But as KCIC Consulting, let me also be very specific and say that, we've been part of this YouthADAPT program, cohort 1, and now we are managing the cohort 3. And I can tell you for sure that the way this program is different compared to the other incubation accelerator program is that you get wholehearted support from two funders, that's AfDB as well as GCA. And the very nature of these two organizations is that you would get opportunities at every corner. You would get opportunities where you can showcase your product, where you can showcase your services. You can also showcase your opportunities. You can explore different opportunities, not just at the national level, but also at the regional level, but more importantly, at the international level as well. So that's the kind of platform this particular program offers you. Before I even come to coaching and mentorship, just wanted to give you a couple of insights based on the experiences of cohort 1, as well as learnings from cohort 2 as well. There have been quite a few success stories that came out of cohort 1, and these success stories, I'm talking about how they could scale up in terms of their business operations, how their turnovers quadrupled from when they joined the cohort, how they have gone beyond the existing country of operations to do more exports to different countries, how they could go ahead and make presentations at a very many international levels, showcasing their products and services. So there are quite a few success stories where the program provided some kind of technical as well as financial assistance, which kind of unlocked the enterprises to kind of grow and become more sustainable enterprise. So that kind of success stories should motivate you guys to also emulate, to also become similar as to what cohort 1, cohort 2 success stories showed us. So that's the kind of opportunity that you all have in terms of scaling up. Secondly, this program, compared to others, also provides you technical as well as financial assistance. And generally, many programs provides grant financing, but this program kind of addresses the real missing middle in that sense, and provides quite a substantial, actually, grant financing of $100,000. And along with that, has put in a big team to provide the technical assistance, mentorship, incubation, acceleration, capacity building, you name it, the program will be able to provide it. Then another aspect which I really wanted to highlight is although this is cohort 3 under YouthADAPT, but you would be pioneers in a way, because the first time this particular program has focused on fourth industrial revolution kind of technologies. So we are trying to address climate adaptation solutions using IT, IoT, blockchains, and various other solutions, which kind of has this multiplying effect. If done well, if successfully implemented, scale up becomes slightly easier compared to other services, other solutions. So in that sense, you guys are pioneers. And again, congratulations for being that. In terms of our own expectations, I'm sure Sarah did mention some of the expectations, but as a program implementing unit, as a enterprise support organization supporting you, handholding you, providing technical assistance, what we would expect from each one of you is there is a requirement where we would be asking you some progress reports. Of course, we'll be working with you together, but we would expect those progress reports to come in at a periodic interval. That's very important to have it so that we know how the companies are progressing, what are the challenges, what are the risks, what could be the mitigation strategies, and what better interventions could be better designed so that the enterprises are able to get the support. Secondly, Sarah did mention about this. Please use the publicity platforms of both AfDB as well as GCA, and when they do the story writing on any one of you, I think you would be getting global attention. So any good news, please share with us so that we can kind of publicize that. We can put an article, we can put a video, we can put a photo, we can put a tweet, we can put a LinkedIn post, or whatever that is needed. So kindly share with us, and that will help you to unlock more value for your own firm. It will also help you to unlock more partnerships in terms of getting more demand, as well as linking to more supply chains kind of a thing as well. So kindly use that. Thirdly, remember, this is a grant disbursement program. I think the needs assessment report and the grant agreements have all been signed. So that one, kindly make sure that, whatever timelines have been mentioned, of course, there could be some flexibility in terms of how we move ahead, and there could be some things that we couldn't achieve in time. But it's important that, we keep communicating and let the project implementation team know that there could be some delays, but the grant disbursement schedule is very important. Once you achieve a particular deliverable is when the release of funds would happen. So it's always important to keep an eye on in terms of what kind of deliverables have been agreed upon in the grant disbursements. And before we release the next tranche, we would also be very keen on getting the proof of payments. All events will be able to further explain that, but I think documentation of your grant disbursement, how you utilize the funding, I think is very critical. Then we would be having regular meetings, not just with us. Sometimes AFDB as well as GCA would also be convening some meetings. Kindly ensure you attend those meetings regularly. There are two important purposes that achieves in those meetings. One is to get to know the progresses, the risks, challenges, and what else you would expect from the program to deliver. So that is one. Secondly, any important updates in terms of any international events that are happening, any national events that are happening, specifically that are being organized by GCA as well as AFDB. That is the platform where we would be communicating that so that you would be knowing those things as well. And lastly, this program is also unique in the sense that, you are able to get mentorship support. And that mentorship support would be one-to-one. It's not that all of you would be in one class where a mentor is explaining you ABC, but it is more of implementation support where based on the needs that have been identified, we would be the mentor would be hand-holding you individually as a firm so that you can address those challenges systematically and move forward. So those would be my high level take. But just to come on to this specific slide as to how the coaching and mentorship phase would look like. We have already, in a way, when we did the needs assessment, we have done the baseline assessment where we have understood your financials, your operations, your commercial, as well as your legal, as well as your technology business plans. Then based on that, we administered this tool to all of you where we address the requirements of each one of you from the climate perspective, climate adaptation perspective, as well as from the enterprise perspective. And that has basically given us three broad challenges of each one of you. One is the customer related challenges, one is the financial related challenges, and lastly, the ecosystem related challenges. So all these three particular pillars would be addressed using three broad interventions. One is the coaching, where we would be focusing a lot on trainings, capacity buildings, some standard courses are there, some specific tailor-made courses would be delivered. Then I did mention about the mentorship aspect as well. That would be intervention 2, where we would be doing face-to-face, one-to-one, virtual, as well as physical mentorship sessions with each one of you. And then lastly, there would be advisory services as well, where we would be providing some tailored and bespoke recommendations individual based on your individual needs. Elizabeth, if you can go to the next slide, please. Or Anita, yeah. In terms of what could be the areas of interventions, there could be 6 broad interventions. One would be the, there would be somewhere we would be supporting you on the innovative approaches. That would be one. Secondly, there would be some climate adaptation innovation to boost your job creation. So how your business plan could be better updated to ensure that the climate adaptation, climate risk proofing is done, to ensure that the jobs that we are creating are sustainable jobs in that sense. Thirdly, I did mention about capacity building. There would be collaborations with institutions. All of you have a fantastic prototypes in terms of your IT solutions. So we will explore opportunities, again, depending on the needs of your own enterprises. We will be exploring opportunities. If you need to have some collaborations with institutions where you can go and test your prototype, so that we can learn from that testing, and if needed, we further improve upon our prototype and on our concept so that our services our product becomes much more robust and is be able to pick up the demand very easily. Then the fourth area of intervention would be on the inclusive growth for investment and economic opportunities for youth. And this is where we talk about how do we bring in this ecosystem of youthful countries that we are working with, and how we can engage more youth and women organizations to ensure that we are able to drive this climate adaptation agenda but ensuring that it is also inclusive in that sense. Then last two more solutions that we would be helping you would be on the expanding partnerships, knowledge sharing, exchange and learning. And this is where we would also be depending on a lot on GCA as well as AFDB, where we would be exploring what kind of networking sessions we could be part of, what kind of learning sessions we could be part of, what kind of exchanges program that can happen between, say, for example, Europe and Africa, Asia and Africa, US and Africa, that kind of exchange offers. How we can learn from different enterprises, different innovations that have been on a similar scale, that have been implemented elsewhere, instead of reinventing the wheel, it's about learning from there. And lastly, the customized business development services, the dedicated mentors who are there for you, as well as the project implementation team would be there to help you, to provide you the business advisory services and then handhold you as you scale up to newer heights. That's all from my end. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Vanam, for that. Emanuela, I am taking you back to this slide. Kindly translate this to our French speakers, this slide and the next one. The floor is yours, Emanuela.
Okay, thank you. Donc, pour les francophones, ce que M. Vanam expliquait, c'était d'abord, premièrement, qu'il encourageait la cohorte 3, qu'il considère comme une cohorte spéciale et unique à sa façon. Et donc, il a dit que grâce aux partenaires qui sont très présents au niveau du programme, très involved dans le programme, très inclus dans le programme, il donne l'occasion de mettre en valeur le potentiel de chacun. Et donc, il a parlé du fait que les anciennes cohortes ont pu développer leur marché, leur influence, leurs revenus, et cela les a aidés à être plus durables, et que c'est la même chose qu'il souhaitait pour vous. Donc, il a expliqué que ce programme a été mis en place pour apporter absolument tout ce dont, en tant qu'entrepreneur, vous aurez besoin pour évoluer et faire de vous des piliers en matière de technologie. Et il dit que c'est justement la particularité de ce programme, c'est que on parle de technologie de 4e génération, et donc c'est ce qui fait que cette cohorte est encore plus spéciale. Donc, il a parlé du fait que vous devriez faire des rapports de progression régulièrement, et que pour eux, c'est très important de pouvoir suivre votre progression. Et donc, c'est très important pour eux que vous puissiez vraiment vous prêter au jeu et pouvoir faire ces rapports-là en temps et en heure due. Donc, il a aussi parlé des plateformes de publicité. Au cas où vous aurez besoin de visibilité, pour vous aider à la booster, les partenaires sont prêts à partager vos nouvelles, articles, etc., publications sur leur réseau pour pouvoir vous donner plus de visibilité. Il a parlé aussi de la communication. Il a parlé du fait que le financement est déployé quand vous atteignez des objectifs ou que vous délivrez des livrables. Et donc, c'est important pour eux que vous communiquez sur ça, que vous communiquez sur vos milestones, ce que vous faites, ce qui a réussi, ce qui n'a pas marché, ce qui a marché. Il y a aussi le fait que des réunions régulières sont tenues, et donc, ils vous encouragent à participer à ces réunions autant que vous pouvez vraiment, et que vous puissiez, parce que c'est l'occasion où vous allez pouvoir partager vos updates et circonstances du moment. Il y a des choses qui sont très circonstancielles, par exemple l'état du pays, etc., etc. Et donc, ça les permet de savoir où est-ce que vous en êtes et comment vous avancez. Il a parlé du fait que ce programme-là a designé un programme de mentorship très, très précis. C'est un accompagnement individuel qui sera basé sur les besoins de chacun. Et donc, quand on va sur ce slide, justement, on voit que en fonction de vos finances, de vos opérations commerciales, légales, du genre de technologie que vous utilisez, KCIC a designé carrément un programme basé sur justement les défis, les challenges auxquels entrepreneurs vous faites face. Donc, il y a différents types de challenges. Il y a le challenge lié aux clients, il y a le challenge lié aux finances, et il y a le challenge lié à l'écosystème. Je ne vais pas trop rentrer dans les détails vu que le temps me manque, mais j'espère que vous pourrez aller plus en profondeur avec l'équipe au fur et à mesure que vous faites le programme d'accélération. Donc, dans ce slide, vous voyez l'intervention de l'équipe, sur les choses sur lesquelles ils vont plus se concentrer. Et donc, l'une des premières choses qui a déjà été mentionnée, c'est qu'ils vont vraiment mettre un focus sur la création d'emplois. Il faut vraiment que les emplois soient créés pendant cet accompagnement. Il faut aussi que, vu qu'on parle de technologie de 4e génération, que vous puissiez, avec les prototypes que vous avez déjà mis en place, que vous avez déjà créés, ils veulent voir comment vous aider à rendre cette technologie, ces outils plus performants, vous aider à grandir, à améliorer vos prototypes, etc. Ils parlent aussi du fait d'étendre des collaborations. Donc, leur but, c'est aussi de vous aider à obtenir des partenariats, des collaborations qui puissent vous aider aussi à grandir, surtout entre pairs, entre entrepreneurs, pairs, vous aider vraiment à vous développer dans ce sens-là. Mais aussi, ils veulent vous aider à développer votre business dans le sens où leurs mentors vont vraiment être très concentrés sur le fait que de vous aider à de vous développer en tant qu'entreprise, en tant que business. Donc, en gros, c'est ça, entre autres. I'm done, Lisbeth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emanuela, for that. Going forward, I'm going to invite my colleague, Benson, to take us through the next bunch of slides. Benson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much, everybody, for making the time today. Acknowledging, of course, the funders, GCA. Thank you so much, Sarah, for highlighting the expectations, especially as we go forward into the implementation. And then thank you, Venam, for also taking the time to really just take us back to the experiences, lessons learned, from cohort 1, cohort 2, which are essential for these cohorts to really look at, the success stories and also what they could benefit from. I think, as Sarah has alluded, I think this is the first time we are having all the finalists, cohort 3 finalists, on a single platform. And I think it will only be fair if we apportion just 30 seconds to each one of you. I think, Lisbeth, if you could just go quickly back to the slides with the finalist profiles. In that order, if we could start and just give each one of you 30 seconds to say hello, give us your name and from which country you're joining the call from, because today is really actually your day. So really quickly, before we proceed, Lisbeth, just take us back to the slides for the finalist SMEs. Thank you. All right.
Sorry, excuse me. Can I translate for the French speaking so that they will understand that they have to present?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Ok, donc pour les francophones, Monsieur Benson vous demande de vous présenter, dire votre nom, votre pays, parce que justement c'est votre jour aujourd'hui et il souhaiterait vraiment que vous puissiez avoir l'occasion, ne serait-ce que de vous présenter et de dire ce que vous faites. Voilà. Donc on va procéder par ordre selon ce qui est projeté, la présentation. Thank you.
All right, voila. Okay, let's start with Beth in that order. Your 30 seconds opportunity to just tell us who you are, where you're coming from, and then we proceed. Beth.
Thank you, Benson. So my name is Beth Koigi, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Magic Water, and I'm from Kenya. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Beth. Eda.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eda Wanjiru, CEO and founder of Arini Food Technologies, and I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm grateful to be here for this discussion.
Thank you, Eda. Lucy.
Lucy may be having some network issues, so let's continue to Stephanie.
All right. Okay, Stephanie.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephanie Meltus, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Green Eden Farms here in Nigeria. It's always a pleasure to chat with everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Bonjour,
Right,
moi c'est Madame Deborah. Je suis en RDC, je suis la directrice de GRECOM en RDC.
Thank you. Danielle? Madame Daniela?
Daniela is not in our meeting today, so let's proceed to Ms. Fatumata.
Okay, we can't quite hear you very clearly, but we can see you. So thank you for that. Then we move to Miriam. If Miriam is here, say hello. Okay. I'll assume Miriam is not in the call, so we can proceed. All right. Thank you so much. And I think as Elizabeth has mentioned, please, we will have a Q&A section along this call, and so please, if you have any questions, please feel free to go onto the chat and file in your questions, and then we have a session for Q&A towards the end of the call.
Hello, good afternoon.
Where you? Hello.
Hello, sorry. I lost a bit of connectivity. My name is Mungana Malikana. I'm the partner for Miriam. She had just stepped aside. She wasn't able to make it for this meeting. So I logged in to represent our enterprise.
Oh, thank you, Mugatana. You said Mugatana? Please say your names again, sorry.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that my name is Imungana Malikana. I'm the partner within Chapi Cortec. Miriam wasn't able to make it for today's meeting. She had a family commitment, so I'm the one who's representing our enterprise. I wasn't able to introduce myself that time because of some internet connectivity that had a challenge, but the enterprise is represented.
Thank you, Marikana, and it's nice to have you on this call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward. So as I was saying, please feel free to file your questions. We will have a Q&A section. So don't feel like you have a burning question and then no one is going to address it. We will address your questions. Please pay attention to the various sections of this these slides, especially on the grant utilization section, the M&D and reporting requirements. Just pay attention, file in your questions, and then we will have an opportunity for you to really just listen through or respond to your questions and then the parties that are represented here today. Okay. So what is YouthADAPT Challenge? I'm sure you're all familiar with, especially as youth. Hello.
Excuse me for a minute, Benson. I've noticed that Ms. Edith Adera has joined the meeting, and I would like to give her this chance to introduce herself and give us her keynote speech from the bank. Ms. Edith, welcome to this kickoff meeting. Thank you so much for making time to be here. Edith, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. And I must apologize for coming in late. I guess as many of you are aware, I think the internet connection is a bit of a problem. So I've had to struggle to join. I've actually joined on my phone. So I hope you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Edith.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, apologies for coming in late and interrupting the presentation that's ongoing. But I must say that I'm very, very pleased to join you in this kickoff meeting. Let me start off by congratulating all the winners for being part of cohort 3. It's not a mean feat at all. You were, I think, among over 1,000 applications, if I'm not wrong. So you've done exceptionally well to be in the top 8. So congratulations for that. On behalf of the bank and on my own behalf, I'd like to congratulate you. I'd like to welcome you to this session. And I'd like to share a few thoughts. While they mentioned that it's a keynote, I'll keep it very short. I like going straight into the issues. We've been handling the YouthADAPT program and supporting it alongside our partners, the African Adaptation, as part of the African Adaptation Acceleration Program, together with the Global Center on Adaptation. And this particular cohort is funded by the Africa Climate Change Fund. So on behalf of all the partners, I'd really like to welcome you to this session. And I'd like to share a couple of thoughts, having supported the YouthADAPT program over the last 3 years, is that one of the things that I tell people when I talk about YouthADAPT is that if you want return on your investment and you want it quickly, in about 2 years or less, fund young entrepreneurs. For me, that I have seen it bringing in dividends and bringing in change. I term it as the triple dividends. In funding YouthADAPT, I see a triple dividends. One is that it generates income for the entrepreneurs who are working in their respective fields. 2, it brings in a bit of growth because the idea of this grant, and that's one of the messages that I want to leave with you in my first point in looking at the triple dividends, that while it generates income for the enterprises and allows the enterprises to go to their next level of growth, let's ensure that the grant does not create dependency, but that we see it as a catalytic fund that would help you transform your companies and your enterprises and would allow you to move to the next level of growth. And that you will take your place in the place of entrepreneurs to bring about change. And that we are hoping that this grant, as much as it should not create dependency, should unlock and open up doors for concessional financing and blended finance. So that's my first point, that the first triple dividends is that it creates income and allows you to grow. But let's ensure that we are not dependent on grant and we're able to graduate into blended finance. The second dividends that I see the YouthADAPT program being able to realize is creation of green jobs. So as you build your enterprises, as you grow your enterprises, ensure that you're creating green and sustainable jobs, and jobs that are paying well, and productive jobs, and that you also in the process mentor other entrepreneurs. So do not just create jobs, but also mentor others. I would really like to challenge you that let's have maybe 10 more entrepreneurs that are being mentored by you. And that would allow us to have 80 more on board in terms of mentorship. The third dividends that I see the YouthADAPT program bringing on board is having impact at the community level and realizing grassroots impact, ensuring that we have adaptive and resilient communities. And for me, if after 2 years or 1.5 years of your program, able to come to the communities where you're offering either your goods and services and seeing transformative change at the community level, to me, I will count that as having been a successful program. I'd like you with a few parting shots. One, let's not work in silos. There is a tendency where, because we have met virtually and because we are working in our respective enterprises and in different countries, we tend to work in silos. I'd like to encourage you to network among yourselves within this cohort, but also connect with the earlier cohorts. And be YouthADAPT ambassadors for life. And let's see YouthADAPT as not just the cohort 1, 2, and 3, but those who you mentor and also reach out to other enterprises across the continent. And let's have YouthADAPT as a forever network. Once a YouthADAPT member, you are a YouthADAPT member for life. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in your current journey with the YouthADAPT. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Edith, for that. Emanuela, kindly translate that to our French speakers. Thank you.
Ok, thank you, Lisbeth. Donc, pour les francophones, ce que Madame Edith disait tout à l'heure, c'est d'abord qu'elle souhaitait les félicitations aux gagnants de la cohorte 3. C'était sur, vos candidatures ont été choisies sur, entre des milliers de candidatures. Et donc, c'est vraiment quand même une grande chose d'avoir été sélectionné, d'avoir pu être finaliste au niveau du programme de YouthADAPT. Et au nom de la banque, elle vous a aussi souhaité la bienvenue à cette réunion, cette rencontre. Et donc, elle a dit qu'elle avait juste quelques conseils ou quelques choses, quelques points à aborder. Et premièrement, elle a dit que souvent une chose qu'elle aime dire, c'est que si quelqu'un devrait investir et avoir du retour sur investissement, ce serait d'investir dans la vie ou dans la carrière de jeunes entrepreneurs. Pourquoi? Parce que premièrement, cela génère du revenu et deuxièmement, parce que cela stimule l'expansion de ces entreprises-là. Et donc, elle a demandé à ce que aussi, en tant qu'entrepreneur, vous ne voyez pas la banque comme une organisation sur qui vous allez dépendre, mais que vous voyez la banque comme un catalyseur pour votre croissance. Et donc, elle a insisté sur ce point-là. Elle a aussi abordé le point que c'est important pour eux que votre entreprise, votre projet puisse créer des emplois durables et que vous soyez même capable d'être des mentors pour d'autres entreprises qui traverseront à peu près les mêmes épreuves ou les mêmes défis et challenges que vous avez traversés. Et aussi, elle a parlé du fait que c'est important aussi pour eux que vous soyez des acteurs d'impact, donc que vous impactez votre communauté. Donc, le changement que vous aurez produit doit se voir même des années après au sein de vos communautés et c'est important pour eux de le voir et de le constater. Elle a aussi insisté sur le fait que vous devez et que vous pouvez, sentez-vous libre de communiquer, de vous connecter les uns les autres, c'est-à-dire entre membres de la cohorte et même au-delà, les alumni, les anciens des autres cohortes, que vous puissiez être capable de communiquer, de ne pas rester seulement dans vos pays ou dans vos régions ou dans vos zones, mais de pouvoir vraiment vous étendre, de pouvoir collaborer, communiquer entre anciens alumni, entre membres de la même cohorte, etc. Et donc, voilà. Thank you.
Thank you, Emanuela. Now the floor is yours, Benson, to continue from where we were. What is YouthADAPT Challenge 2023? Arian Benson.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisbeth. And many thanks to Edith for making the time for the meeting today and also for your very insightful advice to the finalist entrepreneurs. Moving forward, what is the YouthADAPT Challenge? Basically, we are looking at the feat from the call of application to just having the 8 of you having made it through to the finalist list. And so, as Edith has mentioned, as Sarah has also mentioned, it's not a small feat, and so we want to say congratulations. YouthADAPT Challenge, of course, is an initiative under the AAAP that recognizes the critical role that young entrepreneurs like yourself are driving in climate resilience and economic growth. If we move to the next slide, Elizabeth. At the point that you saw the call for application, I am sure you read through that carefully before you sat down and began, making your application. And so to understand the context of, but also how relevant your innovation, but also your offering was to the call for application, made you really go forward to give it a try, and of course go through defend your business models, your ideas, to getting truly to the final crossing line. And so it is my understanding that, you know, of course, you realize the great expectations placed upon your shoulders, as you know, as clarified from the GCA, but also from the bank going forward. And we hope that you will take the tremendous support, the opportunity that's you know, just before you, to realize your goals, but beyond that, to you know, create the impact within you, within your communities, you know, that will transcend beyond your own, just you know, your businesses from where you operate from. Next slide. Very quickly, I think the scope and geography at the point of the call. BIS was basically looking for entities that were seeking transition to scale or to scaling across the whole value chain. And from the look of things, most of you are actually not ideation. And so congratulations, you put in the work to develop your ideas and to keep them, to bring them to formation, but also to start, you know, meeting the needs of your, you know, customers, but also communities from where you operate. The geographic scope for the YouthADAPT 2023 is Kenya, DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Nigeria, Mali, and Zambia. And these were the minimum eligibility that resulted to, of course, you know, an award of 100,000 in grant, performance-based grants, that also incorporates a lot of the heavy loaded business advisory and access to finance support. And again, it's structured as an RBF. Hopefully, it's a performance-based. And you know, Evans, the finance manager, will tackle a lot more on, you know, what is allowable and what's not allowable. So please pay attention. One of the key elements for the YouthADAPT 2023, as Vanam had mentioned earlier, is the inclusion of the key technical aspect of the 4IR. You know, the fourth industrial revolution technologies. And so we will be again keenly looking at how technology plays a significant part of your business growth, both internally and also externally, creating the necessary impact within the business, but also around your communities. And so that's a really key one. And I think it's a privilege to have most of you, you know, deploying some form of technology, but very exciting technologies within your product solutions. Next slide. Okay, the project implementation overview. Of course, there was an innovation call. Now we are headed to the most exciting phase of the program, which is actually the execution. And we're talking about the implementation, the execution of the business advisory services. And I know the initial phase is usually a heavy lifting phase. It can be discouraging, but thank you, all of you, for your patience, for your resilience. There was a lot of back and forth, you know, through the various phases of the initial period for the program. And as Mr. Vanham has mentioned, there could have been a few delays here and there occasioned, and so going forward, communicating openly on the implementation is going to be very key for us to be able to support you in achieving your goals, but also to make sure that, you know, we are keeping the timelines also that are agreed between ourselves and the businesses represented here. These are some of the key indicators that you will be held responsible for. And so it's very important. And I think we'll get to revisit this again as we go. But just to mention that there will be a series of very critical webinars prepared for you to really understand your reporting guidelines, your reporting requirements as we go along the implementation, because as we all know that at the end of the day, the most important element of this program is really the impact assessment. What have you been able to achieve with the match that you have received in terms of the grant support, but also the advisory support that we receive through the various mentors, the coaches, the webinars, the peer-to-peer networking session that will be organized for yourselves. Okay, if we move to the next slide. To go back where we are today, I think there have been many of you asking questions, when are we gonna get to start running? And so just a very quick recap. Where are we coming from? Of course, there was a call in 2023, which was launched on 16th of October. Most of you responded at the close, which was the 5th of November, 2023. Very strong 223 applications were evaluated, which moved to the selection in November 2023, where only 25 made it to the cards, the top finalists. And then these 25 were subjected to a jury panel between the 20th and 21st of November last year, and only 8 of you of the 25 made it to the finalists. And so this is a tremendous achievement, to the 8 of you that are represented here today, and which, of course, the whole selection process culminated into the major announcement at the COP on the 4th of December in Dubai. So congratulations again for reaching this far. Next slide. All right. Again, I think this is just a repeat of what I've just mentioned there. Maybe we just move to the next slide. Okay. So yes, congratulations. We have the finalist 8 of you from Kenya, DRC, Zambia, Nigeria, and Mali. And it's important to know your cohort members in line with the, just to echo what Edith has just mentioned, that going forward, you will not only work in silos, but try to reach out to your counterparts, not not only just this cohort, but also the previous cohorts. And I think one way to really broaden your horizons is really to reach out to your other counterparts. And who knows, that's also one way to open up opportunities for business expansion and all that stuff. Okay, so stay open, and then we'll create the opportunities or the platforms for you to reach out to your other colleagues within this cohort, but also the previous cohort, so that you're getting the most from the program. Let's proceed.
Maybe before we go to the implementation, Benson, we can have Emanuela translate until where we are.
Absolutely, sure.
Emanuela, you can begin the translation from here. Yeah, Emanuela, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Lisbeth. Donc, pour les francophones, je vais revenir assez vite sur ce que M. Benson disait. Donc, je vais essayer de lire pour l'instant. Le slide dit que YouthADAPT est une initiative qui a été initié par le AAAP qui a reconnu l'important rôle de la jeunesse africaine, surtout des jeunes entrepreneurs africains, dans le changement et dans la résilience au climat et le développement économique. Donc, en rapport avec ça, je pense que c'est même des phrases que vous avez déjà vues, que vous avez, ce qui vous a poussé même à postuler. Et donc, il insiste sur le fait que c'est aussi une responsabilité de représenter ce qui est attendu et vu à travers ces expressions-là. Donc, yeah, we can go to the next slide. OK, donc ce slide parle principalement de la portée, de la géographie et de l'éligibilité des entrepreneurs. Donc, je pense que c'est pas quelque chose que j'ai besoin de nécessairement répéter. Mais oui, nous avons au niveau de la géographie, nous avons 5 pays représentés. Nous avons les prescriptions, ce qui est nécessaire pour être éligible. Et M. Benson, justement, a précisé aussi qu'ils reviendront sur ce qui est permis ou pas permis en rapport avec vos candidatures pour les étapes à venir. Mais en gros, c'est ce qui est attendu. You can go to the next one. OK, donc sur ce slide, nous avons juste une vue d'ensemble vraiment du projet et de l'implémentation du projet. En ce moment, nous sommes à la phase exécution, donc qui est la deuxième phase du projet. Donc, pour chaque phase, il y a des outcomes, c'est-à-dire des livrables ou des objectifs à atteindre, des choses qui sont attendues. Et donc, il a aussi dit que nous allons revenir justement sur ce qui est attendu pour cette phase-là dans le futur, mais qu'il faut garder en tête qu'il y a des choses qui sont attendues et justement que ces indicateurs-là sont très importants pour eux et aussi qu'il y aura des webinaires, des rencontres qui vont être faites pour que chaque entrepreneur, chacun d'entre vous puisse être informé sur tout ce qui est important à comprendre, surtout par rapport à la rédaction des rapports que vous allez faire et que vous allez envoyer aux partenaires. Donc, yeah, you can go to the next one. So, donc, ici, on parle de où est-ce que nous en sommes jusqu'à présent. Donc, depuis le lancement qui était le 16 octobre jusqu'à aujourd'hui. Donc, nous avons lancé l'appel à candidature le 16 octobre 2023. Nous avons fermé l'appel à candidature le 5 novembre 2023 avec 223 candidatures. Nous avons fait une présélection de 25 candidats qui ont été sanctionnés par un jury le 20 et le 21 novembre 2023. Donc, ensuite, nous avons de ces 25-là tiré 8 finalistes qui ont été décidés le 22 novembre 2023. Donc, voilà. You can go to the next one. You can skip this one. OK. Et donc, dans ce slide-là, il expliquait justement que voici, vous, justement, les entrepreneurs, vous qui avez été sélectionnés suite à tout ce process-là, et qu'il encourage encore vivement que vous puissiez vraiment collaborer ensemble, partager, vraiment échanger ensemble, non seulement en tant qu'entrepreneurs de la même cohorte, mais aussi avec les entrepreneurs des anciennes cohortes. Donc, c'est ça qu'il avait dit.
Thank you, Manuela.
Thank you.
Benson, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right. So let's move to the implementation, which is the exciting phase. I would say. I think this is what everyone else has been waiting for. You know, we during our interactions with most of you, you know, you've been asking, when are we getting to the real action? I think this is it. We are getting into the real action now, and so it's exciting to be here in a really quick synopsis of, you know, most of your needs during the call for applications. I think this was what was highlighted. Most of about 24% of the needs that came out highlighted the need for, you know, a lot of the IoT enabling monitoring and systems and automation technologies, but also these were identified during the gap analysis. You know, market and distribution came around 18% as a second in terms of some of the business needs that were mostly highlighted. Organizational training and capacity development, also tying with the marketing and distribution. And then we have climate change adaptation and sustainability, which is a key component of this program, coming at 16%. Then we have the investor readiness. And I think as Sarah had mentioned at the beginning, or she touched on this, most of you are either currently on discussions with investors, but also have had a brush here or there in raising some little funds here and there. And so I think going forward in this program also, one of the critical elements that we're looking forward is really how much all the 8 of you combined will be able to leverage from the grant support in terms of external funding, but also in terms of beefing up your investor readiness capacities going along the business advisory. So it's important because I think one of the critical points that it has tackled is not creating a dependency on the grant, and that this grant will be critical in elevating your capacities to be able to reach out to appropriate external funding to grow your business. And so access to finance, of course, comes at 11%, but we are hoping that most of you will take advantage. For those with ongoing investment discussions, please see how best you can receive the support, and we're hoping that you will develop your investment readiness tools necessary to start knocking on those doors. But for those that are advanced, I think a good example is Renifu. We're hoping to see you reach your targets by the end of the program. Okay. The other element, of course, here is enhanced financial and operational systems. We see most of you actually highlighting a need for this to strengthen your financial controls and systems, and then gender and M&E. So we'll be looking very closely, and thankfully, among the list of the mentors is a climate adaptation specialist, Mr. Alphonse, who will be here ready to really provide the necessary support in beefing up your climate adaptation capacities and capabilities. When we visited some of you, this was a very, very pressing need for your businesses. And so we hope that you take advantage of the resources that are at your disposal to really strengthen those components within your businesses. Next slide. At the heart of YouthADAPT Challenge 2023 is innovation. This has come again from the conversation or the speech by Mr. Vanham. The cohort that the 4th IR component has been very, very strongly introduced, but also that will be key to look at as we develop your internal capacities, but also in your product offering, how technology really will pave way for your growth, and also the just in terms of the solutions that you're providing to your customers and the impact that you're creating in your communities. Next slide. Okay. Good. So up to that point, maybe sure.
Thank you for that, Benson.
Yes.
Thank you, Benson, for that. I believe this next part is going to be handled by Mr. Evan Sombuki. But before we do that, we can have Emanuela translate until here.
Okay.
Emanuela, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So Ok, donc pour les francophones, de retour pour prendre la parole. Excusez. Donc, ce qui a été dit par M. Benson, c'est que en fonction de vos besoins, des besoins de tous les entrepreneurs, si on regarde par pourcentage, donc ils ont relevé que le besoin principal, c'est un système de suivi et d'automatisation de technologie. C'est le plus grand besoin qui a été identifié au niveau de vous, les bénéficiaires, les candidats pour ce programme de la cohorte 3. Il y a aussi des besoins en marketing et distribution. Il y a des besoins dans l'accompagnement ou la formation en organisation et en développement d'organisation. Il y a aussi l'un des points focaux justement même du programme, qui est l'adaptation au climat. Et au changement de climat et la durabilité de votre entreprise, qui est justement un accent sur lequel les mentors, enfin le programme vraiment met l'accent dessus. Il y a aussi la préparation à l'investissement, qui est aussi un point sur lequel ils veulent vraiment et qu'ils vont insister dessus. Il y a aussi les systèmes financiers et opérationnels avancés, sur lesquels aussi ils vont apporter un soutien, un accompagnement. Et il y a aussi l'aspect genre et aussi le suivi-évaluation. Donc, ces points-là sont les challenges qu'ils ont identifiés pour chacun des entrepreneurs et qu'ils espèrent que vous allez pouvoir les relever et pouvoir avancer et aller au-delà des attentes même. Can you go to the next slide, please? OK. Donc, comme M. Benson disait que tout au long de la réunion, ils ont beaucoup insisté sur le fait que l'aspect innovation, et surtout en parlant de l'aspect innovation, on parle beaucoup de la 4e génération, de technologie de 4e génération. Et donc, c'est vraiment un point sur lequel ils vont insister sur cette cohorte. Et ils vont vraiment voir comment vous pouvez implémenter les technologies, surtout des technologies de 4e génération, pour pouvoir évoluer, progresser dans votre process ou dans votre voyage entrepreneurial. I can go to the next one. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Emanuela. And now I'd like to welcome Mr. Evans Mbuki to take us through the next part of the slides. Evans, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the opportunity to speak. I will be taking you through the grant utilization and guideline procedures that will guide the implementation stage. So I will walk through on how to achieve and attain financial integrity and compliance to achieve effective and efficient grant utilization so that we can receive the intended purpose for this grant. Your time to talk. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So for us to achieve grant utilization, I will be taking you through the support that I will be according you so that you achieve maximum grant utilization through responsible financial management and adherence to the donor guidelines. I will be speaking of the do's and the don'ts that will ensure that your implementation is done in a smooth manner. And to do this, I have pointed out to 5 key areas that will assist you in achieving effective grant utilization strategies. And these 5 slides, these 5 pillars of achieving maximum grant utilization will be in the area of budgeting, financial planning, expenditure tracking, risk management, and communication. Next slide, please. So I will quickly give you a synopsis of what are these 5 pillars of achieving grant utilization. And I will start by budgeting. You will realize that for grant implementation to be smooth and effective, you will need to develop a comprehensive budget that aligns with project goals and the funder requirements. Through this budgeting, you will be able to allocate funds wisely across different activities to ensure that each dollar contributes to the project success in a maximum manner. The second pillar will be financial planning, and through financial planning, you will be expected to come up with strategic plans for the utilization of the grant funds that will be accorded to you. You may need to consider to maximize impact within the grant period so that the grant monies are utilized maximally within the grant implementation period. And towards this, you will be required to explore revenue models that will support your grant utilization. You may need to look at issues like product sales, services, and partnerships so as to sustain the project even beyond the grant period. Next slide, please. Next slide. You will also be required to pay attention to risk management. You will realize that as you implement your grant, there will be lots of unexpected challenges that you had not planned for, and therefore you need to come up with ways of how to identify and mitigate financial risks so that you are prepared to deal with unexpected challenges. So smooth execution of project requires that you be proactive in ensuring that you are able to pick the risks that are inherent to your project well before they affect your implementation. Then there is also an aspect of communication. Ensure that you put in place clear communication channels that will ensure that all matters that affect finances are clearly communicated in good time so that there are no delays in our project implementation, because when you don't communicate some of these challenges that you encounter during implementation, then even funds disbursements become delayed and ultimately affecting the overall implementation period for your project. Then lastly, there is an aspect of tracking your expenditure. Ensure that you are able to monitor and track expenditures regularly so that as you incur expenses, you are able to know when those expenses have been incurred so that you are able to report them in good time. And this tracking ensures that those expenditures actually fall within the approved budget and the approved work plans. By so doing, you will be able to increase on transparency of your financial transactions so that you're able to build on trust with the stakeholders. Next track. I will give you a synopsis on issues of allowability and allocability of costs as guided under the cost principles. Because as you implement these grants, you will only be expected to record expenditures that are eligible under that particular grant. So for you, you should be able to perform 3 key tests to be able to tell whether the costs that you're about to incur or you're about to register in your grant as passed 3 key tests. First, it should be able to be directly related to the project objectives. So ensure that before you incur any expense, it is directly related to achieving the objectives of the grant. The second test that you may need to conduct before you record an expenditure is to ensure that that expenditure was incurred during the grant implementation period. There will be costs that may have been incurred before the period of allowed period of implementation. Those costs will not be allowed to be registered under eligible costs. And lastly, you will have to perform a test to confirm that the cost that you're about to record or to incur in the grant is included within the approved work plan. that has been approved, which has eventually been allowed to be carried to the budget. Next slide. So what happens if a cost is deemed to be ineligible? If a cost is deemed to be ineligible, there are 5 possible outcomes. One of the most painful outcomes for an ineligible cost is that it is non-reimbursable. So if a cost is non-reimbursable, it means that the project or the implementing agency will not receive reimbursement for that particular cost, and they will need to find an alternative funding source to cover that cost if it was a necessary cost to support your grant. The other implication, if a cost is deemed to be ineligible, is that it may lead to project delays, and therefore, before you record or you incur a cost, ensure that it's eligible so that it does not delay your project's implementation, because if we don't reimburse that cost, it may hinder the progress and impact of your project timelines. The third impact to ineligible cost is it may lead to what we call financial burdens. If it's ineligible and you incur that particular cost, the project team may need to allocate resources from other sources, such as government budgets or other grants, to cover those costs, and therefore causing you to incur a financial burden that was otherwise unnecessary and could have been avoided. Lastly, there could be an issue to deal with audit and compliance issues. Funders conduct audits to ensure that there is compliance with grant terms and guidelines, and therefore, when costs are ineligible, these expenses, when discovered during an audit, will result to penalties and other collective actions being put on the grant implementers. Next slide. We have come up with a verification process that a 4-step verification process that shall be used during the process of grant funds disbursements. And stage number 1 is that there will be milestone completion report submitted by yourselves to us, so that you will be able to communicate to us that particular milestones have been achieved and a report has been submitted. Once that stage has been verified, we then move to stage number 2, where we do our own milestone verification by finance to confirm that indeed this was an agreeable milestone and that milestone has actually been achieved. After that stage has been met, we shall move to the 3rd stage, where we do what we call financial reviews. And when we are doing financial reviews, we shall be looking at testing for financial integrity and compliance to ensure that the donor guidelines have been achieved and have been adhered to as per the grant rules that have been communicated to you. And once these financial reviews have given us indications that there is financial integrity and compliance, we then move to our last stage, which is approval and disbursement of the next tranche of funding. Next slide, please. I will want to talk more about milestone verification, which is also a 4-stage approval process. In stage 1, the enterprises will submit milestone compilation reports and relevant milestone deliverables that with supporting documentation to show that these milestones have been achieved. So as you do this stage, please ensure that there is adequate supporting documents to avoid us querying on why these milestones have been submitted without supporting documentation. So as you submit your milestone compilation reports, ensure that they're complete and they have supporting documentation. After we are satisfied with that stage, we shall then move to step number 2, where finance will notify the mentors and the coaches that will be working with you to undertake a milestone verification. They will be expected to visit to verify that expenditures were actually incurred against the grant utilization agreements. So as you send us supporting documents, ensure that this is well verifiable on the ground. When the mentors and coaches pay you a visit, then they should be able to get supporting documentation and that it's verifiable against the utilization agreement. Once that stage is completed, we then move to stage number 3, where we do our own internal financial reviews to ensure that the reviews by the mentors and the comments given on the enterprise milestone documentation passes what we call the financial integrity and compliance tests to support any finance approvals that we may have then given to the final stage, which will be the release of the next tranche. After we are satisfied with this, then there will be a formal notification to the enterprises that the milestones have been approved, and if there is any need for additional documentations, we shall be asking this information at this stage. But if all is well, then there will be a formal communication that it is formally approved, and this can now be documented, and it can support the next tranche release. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evans, for that. I would like to have Emanuela to translate the grant utilization slides, kindly.
Okay, thank
Emanuela.
you. Yes, thank you, Lisbeth. I'm going on. Ok, donc pour les francophones, c'est Monsieur Evans qui avait la parole tout à l'heure et il a donné plusieurs points importants sur lesquels il faudra vraiment mettre l'accent, il faudra faire attention. Et donc, le point que Monsieur Evans a abordé, c'est ce que c'est que l'utilisation du fonds. Donc, il a donné plusieurs conseils sur comment utiliser avec efficience et efficacité les fonds qui vont vous être fournis. Et donc, ça inclut s'assurer que le fonds qui vous sera fourni puisse être utilisé de manière appropriée et s'accorder avec les objectifs et les buts pour lesquels ils vous ont été fournis. You can go to the next slide, please. Oui, du coup, ce qui veut dire que justement, le don de ces fonds-là, il y aura des responsabilités derrière, surtout sur la gestion financière. Il faudra s'accorder avec les lignes directrices qui vous seront données et il faudra vraiment faire un usage efficace de ce qui vous sera donné pour atteindre les objectifs qui vous ont été déjà depuis le début, qui vous seront donnés. You can go to the next one. Ok, donc pour l'utilisation efficace des fonds, il y a plusieurs secteurs, je peux dire, plusieurs domaines du secteur ou points de votre entreprise qui ont été nommés et avec l'intention vraiment que vous prêtez très attention à ces points-là. Donc, c'est la budgétisation, le plan, la planification financière, désolé, les examens financiers et la gestion des risques et la communication. Donc, c'est les points sur lesquels on va mettre plus d'accent. Et donc, pour revenir sur chaque point qui a été abordé, donc, il a parlé d'abord de la budgétisation et je pense que ça parle pour soi-même. Donc, c'est le fait de pouvoir développer carrément un budget qui va permettre de s'aligner avec les objectifs du projet et les objectifs pour lesquels ce projet justement a été fondé. Donc, les fonds qui seront alloués à ce projet vont être planifiés selon des activités différentes et dans le budget, chaque fonds alloué à chaque activité doit vraiment être dans l'objectif de contribuer au succès du projet. Il y a aussi le plan de financement. Donc, le plan financier, pardon. Le plan financier, c'est vraiment, il voulait juste faire référence au fait de stratégiquement utiliser les fonds qui vont être alloués et de s'assurer justement que chaque fonds, enfin, chaque dollar, somme d'argent va être utilisée pour maximiser l'impact sur la période, en fait, durant laquelle vous recevrez les fonds. Donc, voilà, en gros. Can go to the next one. OK, donc là, il a parlé de 2 points. Premièrement, de la gestion des risques. Et c'est juste comment identifier et gérer les risques auxquels vous ferez face dans la gestion de votre projet. C'est important pour eux que vous gérez très bien, vous identifiez ces risques-là et que vous pensez déjà à comment vous allez résoudre ces potentiels challenges qui vont se présenter. Ensuite, il y a la communication. Donc, il vous encourage vraiment à ce que vous ayez des moyens de communication adéquats. Donc, quel que soit le type de communication, la forme que ça prendra, il faut que vous ayez des moyens de communication adéquats, mais aussi que vous gardez le contact avec les donateurs, ceux qui vous donnent le fonds. Et c'est important pour eux de savoir où vous en êtes et qu'est-ce que vous faites avec les fonds qui vous sont alloués. Donc, c'est important pour eux de garder communication avec vous. Can go to the next one. Et en dernier lieu, il y a le suivi des dépenses, qui est d'ailleurs après, qui sera très bien développé dans les prochains slides. Mais en principe, c'est juste le principe de faire des dépenses raisonnables en fonction de vos besoins. Donc, c'est important pour eux que vous vous assurez vraiment que toute dépense qui sera faite soit des dépenses qui soient faites en fonction de vos besoins pour votre projet ou entreprise. C'est votre connexion. Et donc, voilà. Et donc, en parlant justement du suivi des dépenses, il a expliqué, M. Evans a expliqué que les dépenses doivent être éligibles. Donc, c'est-à-dire que durant toute la durée pendant laquelle vous recevrez les fonds, vous devez vous assurer que vos dépenses soient éligibles au niveau de la banque. Donc, c'est-à-dire que il y a 3 questions que vous devez vous poser avant de faire une dépense. C'est-à-dire, vous devez vous demander, est-ce que votre dépense est liée au projet? Est-ce que votre dépense est faite durant la période de l'implémentation du fonds? Et troisièmement, est-ce que votre dépense est inclue dans le plan de travail ou le plan d'action que vous avez probablement déjà établi au préalable? Donc, c'est ces 3 conditions ou 3 questions que vous devez vous poser avant de faire une dépense pour pouvoir mieux faciliter votre suivi de dépenses. You can go to the next one. OK, donc là, c'est qu'est-ce qui se passe si la dépense que vous faites est non éligible? Parce qu'il faut que votre dépense soit éligible au niveau des fonds pour qu'ils puissent débloquer les fonds pour vous rembourser. Mais si votre dépense n'est pas éligible, il y a 4 possibles sanctions qui puissent se retourner sur vous. Donc, premièrement, il y a tout bonnement et tout simplement le non-remboursement de votre dépense. Donc, c'est-à-dire que vous ne recevrez aucun remboursement de la dépense que vous aurez faite. Et ouais, vous allez devoir trouver une alternative pour pouvoir financer cette dépense que vous avez faite. Deuxième possible sanction, c'est un report du projet. Donc, c'est-à-dire que tout ce qui a été prévu va recevoir un retard. Il y aura du retard dans l'implémentation du projet et ça peut jouer sur les prix, ça peut jouer sur beaucoup d'autres choses. Ça peut créer vraiment un impact, surtout sur la temporalité du projet. Donc, c'est important aussi que vous prêtez attention à ça. Ensuite, la 3e sanction, c'est le poids financier. Donc, si les dépenses sont inéligibles, sont pas éligibles, dépendant des coûts, le projet peut prendre en fait ces prix-là, ces dépenses-là peuvent être financées ailleurs, justement. Ça peut être financé ailleurs et ça peut créer une sorte de poids financier sur votre projet qui aura du mal à être allégé. Donc, ouais. Et la quatrième sanction, c'est un problème d'audit et de conformité. Donc, après avoir passé les audits, pour s'assurer que vous soyez en conformité avec au niveau de l'audit, vraiment dans votre projet, ça risque de créer des sortes de couacs et ça risque de réduire votre crédibilité en quelque sorte par rapport à votre entreprise. Donc, ouais. Next slide, please. OK, et donc, en parlant justement des dépenses, sorry, there's a lot of noise. OK. Donc, en parlant de votre projet, voici comment nous comptons vérifier que vous avez atteint votre objectif. Comment notre système de vérification d'atteinte des objectifs se passe en 4 phases. Donc, il y a la phase, premièrement, de soumission de rapport de votre part. Il y a deuxièmement la phase de vérification par notre équipe financière. Ensuite, il y a la phase d'examen financier. Et en dernier, il y a la phase d'approbation et de versement du fonds. Can you go to the next slide, please? OK. Donc, pour aller en profondeur par rapport au processus de vérification d'atteinte des objectifs, donc nous avons parlé premièrement de soumission de rapport. Et donc, quand on parle de soumission de rapport, on parle vraiment du fait que vous avez donné tous les documents, les supports, tout ce qui est vraiment nécessaire pour valider votre rapport. Vraiment, il faut que vous vous assurez que tous les documents complémentaires à votre rapport soient joints dans votre rapport et que vous déposez ça ou vous envoyez ça en personne au personnel de YouthADAPT. Donc, deuxièmement, comme dit tout à l'heure, il y aura un processus de vérification par l'équipe financière. Donc, en parlant de vérification par l'équipe financière, on veut surtout dire que les finances vont notifier à votre mentor ou à votre coach que vous êtes en train de passer une étape importante, que vous êtes en train d'atteindre un objectif. Et donc, ce coach ou ce mentor va devoir vérifier et confirmer que vous passez cette étape en effet et que donc, vous pouvez obtenir les fonds, débloquer les fonds nécessaires. Et si vous passez cette étape-là, à l'étape 3, la troisième étape, c'est les examens financiers. Donc, après avoir eu la vérification et la confirmation de votre mentor ou coach, vos documents, votre rapport, tout est étudié pour s'assurer justement que, voilà, c'est passé à l'examen vraiment, s'assurer que tout est en règle, est en norme, tout se passe bien, financièrement surtout. Et si c'est le cas, le département finance va approuver le paiement et procéder à la prochaine étape de votre financement. Et donc, logiquement, la dernière étape, ça consiste à recevoir une notification ou une approbation de versement du fonds. Et donc, ça dépendra aussi de comment ça dépendra des résultats de votre examen financier. Si votre examen financier est positif, ça donne de bons résultats, vous avez en effet atteint votre objectif. Vous allez recevoir une notification pour vous informer que vous avez reçu votre financement. Dans le cas contraire, vous allez recevoir aussi une notification pour vous demander plus de documentation ou plus de preuves, etc., plus d'informations sur votre projet pour être convaincu que vous avez en effet besoin du fonds. Donc, voilà, c'est tout. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Now we go to Benson to take us through the reporting guidelines and expectations in the M&D part. Benson.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm cognizant of the time, and so I'll make this really, really short and quick so that we are also redeeming the time because some portion of on the M&E reporting requirements has also been tackled during the grant utilization requirements. And so very quickly to the next slide. Just to mention here, I think the M&E reporting, the impact assessment, is critical to the success of the project. And so this is going to be a really key element of your reporting requirement. I think as you're all familiar or aware, impact assessment is basically what determines the success or the failure of this particular initiative. And so please, just to mention here, because there's not so much time to tackle the M&E component during this call, I will say that during the so the next meeting on our next steps is really going to be the next meeting to bring you and your mentors on the same platform. Okay, and so we'll have a small portion on the M&E and reporting requirements to really just clarify on the specific metrics or the indicators, project indicators that will be required to align with and also to report or upon, given your various grant utilization agreements and milestone verification. I think one thing that's really important, as Evans has mentioned, is that there'll be a double-edged verification, and so the internal verifications from KCL, basically your expenditure or expense receipts, but also the physical verifications that should align with whatever reports that you're sending us. So it's very important to mention here, to timely submit your reports in order that we are moving you forward. Okay, once you feel that you've achieved your milestone or you've achieved your particular utilization block, please feel free to submit your reports, and I think we will also tackle this briefly in our next call on the modalities for submitting your reports, what platform we will use for this, just to make this clear so that it's a seamless process for you when you are sending in your reports, to enable us to review, but also to coordinate with the teams on the ground for the verification processes. Next slide. I know, looking at the timelines, original timelines, and what the current realities, a few of you have written to us, of course, to raise your concerns around the timelines. And just so very quickly to touch on these, I think in the next 1 week we'll be getting back to you officially to let you know on the revised project timelines. Okay, there is a likelihood of a small amount of a project extension time to align with the realities. Okay, and so that will be communicated to you, and I think this will be made more clearly during the next meeting we will have between yourselves and your mentors. And I think these 3 elements are key in your reporting. And so, one, as I've said, we will tackle a bit in depth on the M&E framework, on the indicators or the metrics that you'll be required to report. Let's clarify these for you so that we are all on the same page. The second one is, please do your timely reporting so that you're not stuck in between your first or the second milestone or in between your grant utilization. The timely reporting enables the necessary verifications to be conducted both internally and externally so that we can be able to move you forward to your next implementation assignment. And then the third one, of course, there will be a very clear announcement on on the specific project extension to enable you to really just plan your work around the timelines revised. Next slide. Again, I think this just tackles on the various quarters. We are now in Q2, and hopefully that we'll hit the ground running. And I can't wait for the launch of the business advisory services phase. And I think we're here, and I know that you're also equally excited to start hitting the ground. Please pay attention to the grant utilization guidelines, okay, so that we are not getting ourselves into trouble. Next slide. Okay, I guess that's it on the M&E. But as I've said, we will tackle this section because we want to be on the same page so that we are all aligned on the metrics, reporting metrics, the indicators required. Okay, and we will tackle that a little bit more during the next call between yourselves and your mentors. And I'll take this back to Lisbeth. Lisbeth?
Thank you so much, Benson, for that. Emanuela, kindly quickly take us through these slides.
Okay, Lisbeth. I think he skipped this slide and went to the next one. Thank you. Ok, donc pour les francophones encore, Monsieur Evans, je crois, a parlé du suivi d'impact. Donc, il a parlé de différentes choses qui sont très importantes encore pour les prochaines étapes qui sont à venir. Donc, il a parlé premièrement du besoin et l'importance du suivi d'impact, parce que le suivi d'impact, c'est ce qui nous permet de trancher le succès ou l'échec d'atteinte de vos objectifs. Donc, il a précisé que nous aurons, vu le manque de temps en ce moment, nous aurons un appel pour clarifier les indicateurs requis pour les rapports. Donc, mais que c'est important pour eux de suivre votre impact. Et donc, ce serait vraiment important que vous envoyez vos rapports et pas seulement que vous les envoyez, mais que vous les envoyez à temps. C'est-à-dire qu'au moment vraiment où ils sont dus, au moment où c'est nécessaire et que c'est important, quand vous avez vraiment atteint l'objectif, veuillez, s'il vous plaît, envoyer vos rapports sans faute. Il a parlé aussi de la timeline. Can you go to the next one, please? Thank you. Donc, il a parlé de la timeline. Il a expliqué que plusieurs entrepreneurs bénéficiaires sont venus à lui pour sont venus à lui ou à son équipe pour lui faire savoir qu'ils ont vraiment besoin d'avoir un calendrier mis à jour des prochaines activités. Et donc, qu'il nous a entendus, qu'il vous a entendu et qu'il nous reviendra probablement dans une semaine pour vous fournir le calendrier mis à jour et aussi qu'ils vont sûrement aussi revenir dessus durant la prochaine session. Donc, la prochaine session où il va revenir sur les indicateurs pour les rapports, il reviendra aussi sur la timeline et le calendrier que vous allez suivre à partir de maintenant. Et can you go to the next one, please? Thank you. Donc, en parlant encore des objectifs à atteindre durant l'implémentation du fonds, il a précisé que si vous voyez le tableau qui est présent pour nous sommes actuellement au Q2, c'est-à-dire Q2 2024, donc le deuxième quart de 2024. Et donc, nous allons bientôt commencer, je pense, sur les fonds, si j'ai bien compris. Et il a insisté sur le fait qu'il faut que vous assurez de bien lire les directives sur les conditions qui ont été établies déjà pour le fonds. Donc, vraiment, vous assurez que vous êtes check, vous avez connaissance vraiment de toutes les conditions à remplir pour le fonds, pour recevoir le financement, qu'il n'y ait pas de couac, pas de malentendu, etc. Donc, en gros, c'est sur ça qu'il était revenu. Thank you, Lisbeth. We're done.
Thank you, Emanuela, for that. Going forward, I'll be presenting the marketing and communication and knowledge sharing. So under this, our core objectives were to inform about the YouthADAPT program and its objectives, activities, and progress, to share educational information relating to the program, such as the 4 technologies, to highlight the 8 winners, their climate adaptation solutions and their impact, to share insights on the climate adaptation space and solutions, and to share news items, that is SMEs achievements, successes, events by program partners that relate to YouthADAPT objectives, including those that SMEs can participate in, and to promote knowledge sharing and peer-to-peer learning. Under marketing and communication activities, this is what we do. We make a newsletter that is weekly, and we have upcoming youth forums that are going to be, a webinar is going to be communicated in due course. We communicate on 3 different social media platforms, that is LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and we make 2 posts a week. And we have our an alumni network that is still working in progress, because we are yet to finalize on the registration and making of the organogram, among other factors. So the objectives that we've managed to bring out has been to bring together all the YouthADAPT beneficiaries. We have created a network where SMEs are being facilitated for knowledge sharing and peer-to-peer learning. We've also created a vehicle through which the SMEs can share their innovations with other like-minded SMEs in the same space, allowing for mentoring and coaching. And we have also facilitated the reaching out and engaging of a large number of SMEs across Africa and promote adaptation of climate resilient solutions. And finally, to enhance sustainability of the program, we have had discussions on the viability and sustainability of most of these activities, especially the alumni network. The status of the alumni network. We have had several strides, and so far KCIC facilitated 3 online meetings. We've had them in the consequent 3 weeks of the alumni network. And we've had SMEs volunteer to take up some leadership roles, which I'm going to be sharing with you shortly. We've also had weekly meetings, which are held every Monday from 4 p.m. to around 6 p.m. And so far, the steering committee has developed an organization chart, which has 18 positions. And as of now, these are the positions. I'm going to show you the positions that are still filled. And going forward on the status of the alumni network, the committee has encouraged the alumni to use the WhatsApp group. That is very useful. And I believe Jocelyn has been doing such an amazing job at that. As well as the committee has had consultations with lawyers to get more understanding on how best to register the alumni network. And it was decided to register as an association with the objective of becoming a social enterprise in due course. The committee is currently developing a constitution, which is also part of the documents that are needed for the registration. And it has also updated the alumni network concept note to reflect the current status, and have developed a budget, which has also been shared for review. And finally, the launch of the alumni network is to be done in due course in consultation with the bank. So far, this is the presentation of the organogram of the alumni network. We have Ghislaine as the president, Joseph Bolozani as the vice president, Suleiman Mahama as the chairperson, Ifelua Olatayo as the innovation and partnership lead, Rose Noah is the innovation and partnership lead too, Kombo Ekra is the program and climate policy lead, Rebecca Andeshi is the program and climate policy lead too, Yewande Akinse is the advocacy and communication lead. We are yet to fill the second position of the advocacy and communication lead. Juvelin Goom is the business development and operation lead. Joyce Sequesa has taken up the business development and operation lead too. We have a few positions that are still in need to be filled. That is the trade and e-commerce lead. Trade and e-commerce lead, the second one, regional representation from Northern Africa, regional representation from Southern Africa. Eric Onchonga has taken the regional representative in Eastern Africa, and Rejoice has taken the regional representative in Western Africa, and we still have an open gap in regional representative in Central Africa. These are positions that I would highly encourage these current cohort members to take up so that you can also be integrated in the leadership structure of the alumni network. Emanuela, you can also translate these communication slides before we go to the next steps, which are going to be carried forward by Anita.
Ok, thank you. Ok, pour les francophones, donc nous étions dans la partie marketing et communication, donc les activités et les objectifs de la stratégie marketing et communication qui aura lieu dans les jours ou les mois à venir. Donc les principaux objectifs de la communication sur les activités sont d'informer à propos du programme de YouthADAPT, de ses objectifs, de ses activités et du progrès justement de ces activités, de partager aussi du contenu éducationnel en lien avec le programme, par exemple les technologies de 4e génération, de mettre en lumière les 8 gagnants, leur adaptation, de parler de leur solutions pour l'adaptation au climat et de leur impact, de partager aussi des vues internes sur le climat, l'adaptation au climat et les solutions qu'on peut mettre en place pour s'adapter au climat, de partager aussi des outils, par rapport en lien avec les entreprises, ceux qu'ils ont accompli, des événements faits par des partenaires, etc. De promouvoir aussi la connaissance et aussi le partage entre pairs, donc entre membres de la même cohorte. Donc, ce sont les principaux objectifs. Can you go to the next one, please? Thank you. Donc, ensuite, comment ces objectifs vont être atteints? Donc, c'est principalement d'abord par une newsletter, c'est-à-dire un mail qui va être envoyé chaque semaine. Deuxièmement, à travers des forums de jeunes. Donc, il y aura par exemple un webinaire qui va bientôt venir, qui va avoir lieu très bientôt et qui sera communiqué en temps et en heure. Nous aurons aussi un réseau d'alumni pour le réseautage et ce sera un forum. Et donc, ça, c'est en cours, c'est quelque chose qui sera en cours et ils sont en train de voir comment faire ça. Et on en saura plus dans les prochaines lignes, mais aussi à travers des posts, à travers les réseaux sociaux. Donc, il y a des posts LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Et en général, ils postent 2 fois par semaine. You can go to the next one, please. Thanks. Donc, par rapport au réseau des alumni, le réseau des alumni dont je parlais tout à l'heure, il y a des objectifs qui ont été définis. Et donc, le premier objectif, c'est de rassembler tous les bénéficiaires de YouthADAPT, de cohorte 1 jusqu'à la cohorte 3, je suppose, et les prochaines cohortes aussi, de créer un réseau, une plateforme de réseautage pour les entreprises pour faciliter le partage des connaissances et aussi le réseautage entre pairs, de créer aussi une sorte de véhicule, entre guillemets, par lequel les entreprises vont partager leurs innovations, vont partager leurs similitudes, leurs connaissances, pour que tout puisse être centré dans le même endroit, en fait, et permettre aussi de faciliter le mentorat et le coaching. L'autre objectif, c'est aussi de faciliter l'accès en fait au contact avec un plus grand nombre d'entreprises en Afrique, autour du monde et surtout en Afrique, de promouvoir aussi l'adaptation au climat à travers des solutions intéressantes. Et en dernier, c'est d'augmenter la durabilité aussi du programme. Donc, c'est ça aussi l'objectif du réseau des alumni. Can you go to the next one, please? Ok, donc en ce moment, ce qui a été fait, ce qui est en train de se faire, c'est en lien surtout avec le statut, je peux dire, du réseau des alumni. Et donc, en ce moment, qu'est-ce qui a été fait? C'est que le KCIC a facilité deux rencontres en ligne. Les dates n'ont pas été précisées, mais donc c'est pour rassembler les alumni, avoir des discussions préliminaires, des premières discussions sur comment enregistrer, former, créer ce réseau et comment est-ce que tout ça va marcher. Ensuite, les entreprises aussi, beaucoup se sont vraiment portées volontaires. Les entreprises bénéficiaires, justement les alumni, ils se sont beaucoup portés volontaires pour avoir des rôles de leadership au sein de l'organisation des alumni, du réseau des alumni. Et donc, ça aussi, ça a été très encourageant. Il y a eu des meetings qui se sont faits aussi chaque semaine et par l'équipe justement d'implémentation du projet et qui ont aussi permis d'avancer et de faire beaucoup de progrès par rapport à ce point-là. Et je pense que justement, les rapports sont partagés chaque semaine. Et aussi, en dernier lieu, il y a une charte qui est en train, je pense, d'être développée. Et en ce moment, ils ont développé l'organisation pour les réseautages des alumni de façon à ce qu'il y ait 18 postes qui soient occupés. Mais pour l'instant, nous avons que 6 postes qui sont occupés. Et justement, Lisbeth a encouragé que, surtout vous, la nouvelle cohorte, que vous soyez vraiment ouverts et disposés à occuper de nouveaux postes si vous le désirez, si vous sentez que vous pouvez répondre aux attentes qui sont faites par rapport à chaque poste. Voilà. Can go to the next one, please. OK, et donc, encore en lien avec le réseau des alumni. Donc, justement, par rapport à ce que je disais tout à l'heure, le comité invite vraiment les alumni, surtout ceux de cette cohorte, je suppose, à vraiment prendre les positions qui restent. On parle aussi en deuxième lieu du fait que le comité d'organisation a eu des rencontres avec des avocats et des personnes compétentes pour pouvoir savoir quel est le meilleur format pour enregistrer le réseau des alumni. Et il a été décidé de l'enregistrer en tant qu'association avec l'objectif de devenir une entreprise sociale. Yeah, I can't see. Thank you. OK. Donc, ouais, avec l'objectif de devenir une entreprise sociale. Donc, ça, c'était l'objectif. Finalement, c'est le statut de l'organisation sera une association. Ensuite, le comité est aussi en train de développer une sorte de constitution et aussi, ils sont en train de rassembler toute la documentation nécessaire pour l'enregistrement officiel de l'association. Donc, aussi, le comité a aussi mis à jour le réseau des alumni, le concept note du réseau des alumni pour que ça puisse refléter le statut actuel qui a été développé et aussi le budget. Le lancement du réseau des alumni est en cours et il est en cours et il est en collaboration avec la banque, la AfDB. C'est en cours de réalisation. Donc, voilà. Oh, OK. Donc, par rapport justement à ce réseau et aux postes qui ont été disponibles, donc nous avons Mathieu J. Sorry if I mispronounce the names. I'm not good. OK. Donc, nous avons Mathieu J. Kenmaï Gisèle, qui est la présidente de l'association. Nous avons Wenzani Joseph, qui est le vice-président. Nous avons Suleiman Samani Mam, qui est je peux dire le directeur. Nous avons Ifeoula Olatayo, qui est le lead en ce qui concerne l'innovation et le partenariat. Nous avons un deuxième lead qui est Rose Noir. Nous avons Komo Ekra Noël Ngesan, qui est le lead principal en ce qui concerne la politique climat et programme. Nous avons Rebecca Andeshi, qui est la deuxième lead en politique climat et programme. Nous avons Yowange Akinse, qui est l'avocate et la lead dans la défense, je suppose, et la communication. Nous n'avons pas encore une deuxième lead ou un deuxième lead pour ce poste. Ensuite, pour le développement du business development et les opérations, le lead, c'est Juveline Ngungwa. Donc, Juveline est la lead et nous avons Joyce Sikwase qui est la deuxième lead. Pour les autres postes, nous n'avons pas encore de personnes capables pour remplir enfin, les rôles et responsabilités de ce poste. Donc, nous avons le e-commerce et échange, vente et e-commerce. Les deux leads ne sont pas encore recrutés. Nous avons un représentatif régional de l'Afrique du Nord et l'Afrique du Sud qui ne sont pas encore représentés. Par contre, nous avons un représentant en Afrique de l'Est qui est Eric Onchonga et on a un représentant en Afrique de l'Ouest qui est Rejoice. Et nous avons aussi besoin d'un représentant en Afrique centrale qu'on n'a pas encore. Donc, voilà. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emanuela, for that. And now on to our next steps. I'm going to have Anita to take us through this. Anita?
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. So, and also to everyone who has spoken before me. So on to our next steps, we will be linking you to your mentors. So we'll undertake mentor-mentee matching, where we will now link you to your mentor so that they address the key gaps that have been identified in your business. So the 3 mentors that you shall have a climate mentor to address the climate gaps that have been identified in your business. Then there will also be a technology mentor who will address the technology gaps in your business. And then we shall also link you to a business mentor who will address the business gaps that have been identified in your business. So these mentoring sessions will be face-to-face, and there will also be a virtual meeting. So we expect you to be indulge yourself in these sessions and to be very participative, because we seek to develop your business. So your active participation will be highly appreciated. And please expect that I'll be reaching out to you just to see your progress and what areas that we can adjust, and just to ensure that the mentorship aspect of this YouthADAPT program is successful. So within the next week, I'll be introducing you to your mentors, and we shall contact you starting next week. Yeah, that's all. In the interest of time, I will end at that. Thank you, Lisbeth. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anita. Now we've come to the end of our presentation, and I would like Emanuela to translate what Anita has just said before we get into the Q&A, but I believe Anita has answered quite a number of questions in the Q&A section.
Okay, thank
Emanuela?
you. Ok, donc pour la dernière partie qui concerne les next steps, c'est-à-dire les prochaines étapes, ce qui va suivre après cette réunion. Donc, Anita a précisé que nous vous donnerons des mentors à partir de la semaine prochaine. Et donc, vous aurez 3 différents types de mentors assignés à chacun d'entre vous. Il y aura un mentor qui est spécialisé en adaptation au climat et adaptation au climat. Vous aurez un autre mentor qui sera spécialisé en technologie, donc surtout technologie de 4e génération, je suppose. Et vous aurez un dernier mentor qui sera spécialisé en tout ce qui est business, donc entrepreneuriat, gestion d'entreprise, etc. Donc, vous aurez un dernier mentor qui sera assigné à vous et qui sera spécialisé en business. Ensuite, les sessions vont se dérouler en personne. Vous ferez un face-à-face avec vos mentors. Et donc, elle vous encourage vraiment à participer activement et à vraiment être très interactif avec vos mentors, à partager, à être très ouvert et à ne pas hésiter à les poser des questions. Donc, voilà. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emanuela, for that. And thank you everyone who was part of this meeting today. I want to, all protocols observed, I want to say thank you for your time. But before we close the meeting, I would like to tell the entrepreneurs that we'll be sharing a questionnaire to get a bit of feedback from the first phase until where we are, to help us in developing more content, especially in articles, blogs, and maybe we may even conduct interviews later. But for now, we'll be sharing a questionnaire, maybe that is going to guide you and give us more answers and feedback on how you found the process of phase 1 and phase 2. If there's any other questions, I'd like to address them now. If not, I'd like to adjourn the meeting and thank you all for your time and participation. Anita, is there anything you'd like to say before we close the meeting?
Yes, I'd like to appreciate everyone for attending this session and for every speaker that spoke before me. And also, I look forward to working with each and every one of you to ensure successful implementation of this program. Other than that, have a wonderful evening or based on the time zone that you're in. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I shall share the link to the presentation and also to the recording via email. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day, and we're looking forward to communicating more on email. We have a joint WhatsApp group. If you have any more questions, you can raise them there and we'll be sure to answer them promptly. With that, I would like to end the meeting. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.